Good morning, y'all. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. I'm on my way to work. Work, 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 work. I'm on my way to work. Um, so I just wanted to say something before I go to work. Is that in your walk with Christ and in everything that you're doing in your life and asking God to help you with and help you accomplish and help you put you in this position and even with like interceding and praying for your family members. I mean, wherever you are at in your life, if you're trying for a baby and every single time you look at the daggone stick, it's a negative, be persistent. Keep praying, keep trying, and keep having faith. If you're asking God to enlarge your territory, whether it's looking for a new home, looking for a house, looking to move, looking for a new job, God is calling you to preach. God is calling you to, pray for your family members. When you think that your family members are just doomed, be persistent and keep on praying. Keep on praying, because I'm going to tell you something. There was some family members that I was just like, man, they going to hell. But I said, you know what? I'm going to pray for them. So I just kept praying for them, kept praying for them, kept praying for them, wasn't around them. But it's amazing how you get a word from somebody, another family member or someone else. So when you come across that family member and all of a sudden you see this big change. They walking right, they talking right, they living for God, and you just in shock. But why would you be in shock? You've been praying the whole time. Be persistent. Be persistent in your prayer and just know that God has you. Y'all, when I lost my third baby and my baby Harmony passed away in my arms, I think I went cuckoo for a second. I know I went cuckoo for a second. I cried and mourned the whole time, and my husband was there. And see, he used to smoke. I think he still smokes cigarettes, but he used to smoke cigarettes. And I remember looking at him like, give me one of those. I was smoking back to back, and he was like, babe, you need to slow down. You're like Zsa Zsa Kapoor out here. I mean, because I was just so upset. And the doctors, I remember when they came in the room after I lost my daughter, my water broke. And they had to remove this cerclage because she was coming, and my cervix was closed because they put that cerclage on me. And I just felt so defeated. I just felt like my daughter is about to be born and has no idea that she's about to die. I felt so defeated when I saw women after women walk out of the hospital with a baby in their arms, and all I get was, I'm sorry for your loss. All I get is such a tragedy. And I felt like the enemy was just smiling the whole time. I felt like the enemy was just like, ha ha, there go another one. Might as well quit now. I cried out to God. I prayed and I asked God, please allow me to give my husband an heir. Allow me to have a baby. I've never in my life been so drawn to something that I felt was due to me as a woman. And God told me, Mona, you will have many children, and I just could not see it morning after morning, year after year. How, Lord? And it was faith, y'all, faith in action. Faith in action. We still try that one time, that one try. And when I got that negative, I cried. I was like, I can't believe this. And I cried and I cried and I cried. And I'll never forget when I asked my husband, I was so upset. And y'all, I'm going to be honest with you. I was so upset. I was smoking a cigarette on my way. First of all, I got a negative that morning. When we tried again for our fourth baby. I got a negative that morning, and I was cursing. I was mad, y'all. But the thing about it is I still had a little bit of faith. I still had faith that while I was pissed and upset, I just refused to believe the test. So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was smoking a cigarette, driving my husband's truck on the way to the dollar store to get another pregnancy test. Just took a pregnancy test like 10 minutes ago. But I was like, I still could be pregnant, and I'm so upset that all of these things are happening to me. So I went to the dollar store, got a pregnancy test with the same urine I used on that pregnancy test, and lo and behold, 2 lines popped up. I tossed that cigarette out the window. I looked at those 2 lines and said, could this be? My whole world just turned around. Like, there are 2, and they were fake lines too. If you've ever tried for a baby, if you ever tried to TTC trying to conceive, if you got a fake line, it was when I tell you it was a group of women who were trying, and there's still a group of women who were trying. There will be women who bring out the x-ray vision. I'm talking about they will put it in x-ray and be like, yep, it's 2 lines on there. When I called my husband, it was like, do you see what do you see? He was like, I said, how many lines do you see? He was like, 2. What does this mean? I was like, we're pregnant. He said, oh, so you are pregnant. I remember that I had a smile on my face. Oh my gosh, y'all. And in the midst of that oh my goodness, in the midst of that high, risky pregnancy, I had to take shots. I had to be on bed rest. But I remember going past 20 weeks. I never made it past 20 weeks. I didn't make it past 20 weeks with Melody. I didn't make it past 20 weeks with Harmony. But now I was on my 21st week. I was on my 22nd week. I was on my 23rd week. I was on my 24th week. I felt my baby just kicking. And in the midst of it, my body was still trying to reject the pregnancy. But God made sure, when I tell you, I was so persistent. And I prayed. I was so persistent that I prayed. And I thought that at first I thought that God didn't hear me. And God showed me a vision. He put a line across my cervix. And I remember hearing about women going to get this surgery. I was praying like, God, I don't have any money. How am I going to do this? I'm going to tell you what happened. I ended up being blessed to get this surgery done through a person's error. A woman had on the other end of the phone, the insurance company, she approved me for it, but they realized they made a mistake. But because they already put it out there, they had to honor it. And I prayed to God, y'all. I prayed to God that woman, I don't know if that woman lost her job or not, but she has no idea. Because of her putting that out, my daughter is alive and she's living today because of her. And I asked God to bless that woman's hand and enlarge her territory wherever she would go, because she has no idea that her mistake was my blessing. So I got approved for a $30,000 surgery. And my husband drove me down to New Jersey to get this surgery done. After we got this surgery done, this doctor said to us, go and try for a baby. When every other doctor told me, you will lose your child again. It's going to happen again. They told us to go and try for a baby. And I thank God that my husband, he was there. He held my hand. He was there when I got finished with the surgery. And he was there to help create my daughter's symphony. We were very persistent in our prayer. And the outcome, we have a beautiful baby girl. We have babies in heaven. We have a beautiful baby girl that is living, and that was all because of persistence in our prayer and asking God to bless us with a child. When I went to try for my real estate license, I said, I'm going to be a real estate agent. And I went on to that board. I failed the first day. I said, I can't do this. No, I took all them hours. I can't fail. I went back the next day, and every time you go, you got to keep taking it. I failed the second day. I went back again. I failed the third time. The lady told me, man, maybe you need to kind of wait and then come back. I'm like, nah, shorty, no. I worked too hard and put in too many hours. I want my license. And I remember when I went in there and my heart was thumping and I took that test, I know I ranked like 98% all the answers were correct. And I remember walking from that and feeling the gratitude and just so happy that I stuck with it, and I was so persistent that I didn't let anyone deter me away from the promises that God gave me and told me. You know, action and faith, y'all, it goes together. So when I walked away from that, knowing that I just passed the test, I remember going downstairs and my husband was in his truck and he had a thing of roses. And he said, how'd you do, babe? And I said, babe, I failed. He was like, oh, it's okay. And he gave me roses. And I started dancing. And I said, I passed. And he was celebrating with me. He was celebrating with me because he saw it. And he prayed too. He was a part of it. He was a part. Be persistent in everything and believe that no matter what it looks like, God has to say. So you have to have faith. You can't give up on something and say, because this is the way it looks, it's not going to happen. You can't say, well, I wanted that house, I claimed that house, now somebody else got done put a daggone contract on that house. Be persistent and still go after it. I don't care if you got a dime in your pocket. Still go after it. They said that, oh, you need to be qualified and got a PhD and a master and all of this to get that. Let me tell you something. You can do all things through Christ that give you strength. Be persistent and still go after it. See, a lot of people say favor don't have to be fair. No, favor is fair in the eyes of God. Because you put him first. You prayed about it. And your actions were going for it regardless of what it looked like. I've seen women tie their tubes and get their tubes burnt because they lost son after son after son, and they just couldn't take it anymore. They couldn't take it anymore. I have seen women, and I know my good friends of mine who've lost baby after baby, but because they were still praying and so persistent, they were able to bring a living child into this world. Isn't it amazing that I'll be able to look at my daughter and tell her, you are the youngest, honey. What do you mean, mommy? You are the youngest. And your baby, you were planned. You were planned. Mommy prayed for you. Daddy prayed for you. You were planned, honey. Everything you do, be persistent. You think this person ain't never going to come around to God, keep praying. Keep praying. Keep praying. Keep interceding. Keep praying. Keep asking God, Lord, please change them. Lord, please save them. Keep praying for them. You do not know what is going on in that spiritual realm. You have no idea what your prayers are doing. We don't go what we see now. We go according to faith, y'all. And you know that action and faith go together. Anything and everything you ever got was because of actions and your faith. You said, you know what, I'm going to go out and get a car today. You didn't just sit on your tail and say, I want that car, I'm going to just see if it manifests. You went out and went for it, didn't you? You had to call somebody. You had to speak to somebody. You had to put something up, didn't you? You say you want a baby, and that's just not going to sit there and then all of a sudden the baby going to pop up in your belly. No. You had to put in work, didn't you? Y'all went ahead and y'all made a date. Let me tell you something. When me and my husband got married, I just got put on unemployment. And my husband's job had just cut his hours. So we were really working with nothing. But had a beautiful wedding in a historic chapel. And then had a great reception outdoors in a very historical place that was on acres of land. I remember praying like, Lord, where are we going to get the wine from? We don't even have the wine. I'm like, Lord, how is this even going to happen? And then I thought about when Jesus was at the wedding. And I prayed and was like, Lord, can you do this? I mean, I even did a tape recording of saying, I'm just going to have faith and just know everything in our wedding was paid for. From the Hummer limo, from the reception, every single thing was paid for. And we did it. We did it when everybody else wanted us to fail. My husband's tax was paid for. Everything was completely paid for. We have faith that we're going to have this wedding. We have faith that we're going to get married. We have faith, and we did it. And we went, and we didn't even have a dime. We really wasn't working with too much. His parents didn't want him to get married, so you know what they did? They kicked him out of the condo. But God said, guess what, y'all? I got y'all a new place right here. They couldn't understand why. How is he doing so good? How is he able to favor? When everybody else says no, I'm gonna pull something back. God, like, you can't hold this. So in everything you doing, I don't care what it look like. I don't care what it look like, how it look. You keep praying and have persistence with it. When I was in court, I kept praying. I kept praying. I kept praying. I kept praying. And the whole time God was with me. I asked the Lord for a righteous judge, and he gave me a righteous judge. Don't stop praying because it didn't go in your way either. Don't stop praying because you think it's over, because it's not over. Be persistent in everything. You say you want to go for this, and I'm going to tell you something too. God is calling his folks to be in alignment with him. We need good leaders, good Christian brothers and sisters that's going to take the places of these evil folks. Don't stop, man. Don't stop. If I would have stopped trying for a baby, I don't think I could have took it. I think if I would have stopped trying for a baby, if we would have stopped trying for a baby, I've never wanted a baby so bad. And the enemy was coming at us so hard because he knew the minute they bring a seed into this world, that about when Symphony was born, the enemy got to my husband the day my Symphony, but I can't even say that because my husband sent me into labor. But the thing is, I can't even say he sent me into labor. I was already in labor, but because of what my husband did, it forced me to go to the hospital. And y'all, when I went to the hospital, they hooked me up to, and I went by myself. I thought I was just gonna go in there and tell my mother, don't even worry about it. You know, it was some crazy stuff that went on that day. But let me tell you what happened. They hooked me up to the monitor, and I heard juice. And I said, excuse me, is that my baby's heartbeat? And they listened in and they heard it. Next thing I know, we are doing an emergency C-section. I'm like, what? I started crying. I need my husband here. He needs to be here. I was crying so hard. What do you mean you're doing an emergency C-section? And the crazy part about it is when I was pregnant with my daughter and when we were going to, you know how they give you the sonograms and stuff, I saw that my daughter had an umbilical cord wrapped around her neck. I got a picture of it. And when I saw that umbilical cord, I'm like, Lord, please. So it's a lot, especially in pregnancy. Because there were women who actually lost babies because of their cervix opening up too soon. But then for them to go all the way and the baby end up dying in their womb because of an umbilical cord. So when I saw that umbilical cord on my daughter's neck, I'm like, the enemy really got his hands out for my seed. I didn't say too much. I just prayed like, Father, please. And guess what? If it wasn't for my husband acting a fool, I would have probably never went to the hospital, and I would have probably had another deceased baby. But when he did that, I ended up going to the hospital and finding out that my daughter's heart rate was dropping. And needless to say, and it's so amazing. It's something the way that turned out. Because I remember thinking, like, who do I want in the room when I have the baby? I was thinking my mother and his mother, because they're about to be two grandmothers, and of course my husband. Come to find out, it was my mother-in-law that was in the room, because it was an emergency. My husband wasn't trying to come up there. I think that he was more so in fear that something bad was going to happen, because I feel like he probably was so used to seeing our babies pass away before him that he couldn't take if something happened to me and the baby. So he wasn't there. But anyway, my daughter was born, and I remember crying, and they kept saying, "Stop crying. You've had so many losses. You're about to have a baby." Y'all, when I saw her face, when I saw my daughter's face, I was in shock. I was like, this is my baby. Like, this is my baby. I was like, this is I cannot describe to y'all the shock I was in for God, because we were persistent and we were praying. I know how it is to lose a baby in your arms and you can't do jack about it. You can't put a machine over them. You can only speak to them and love them and kiss them. I remember when Harmony, I kept saying, "Mommy is so sorry." And I watched my little baby go on to be with the Lord. I did not leave that room until I knew her little heart was not beating anymore. We were persistent and we prayed. We prayed for our little ones. We prayed to have a baby. So many people take that and take it like it's nothing. You pop out babies like you popping Skittles. You have no idea what women go through trying to be mothers. We were persistent with our wedding. We prayed like, God, we want to get married. We were persistent about that. So anything and everything you do, I don't care what it looks like. The doctors told me, "Oh, you're going to lose babies. You're not going to have no more." And I went full term. God said, "Nope, you're going to have babies." I went full term, and had a healthy baby, 6 pounds. And she was everything that I've ever wanted. And I was able to hold her and give her the kisses that I wanted to give her sisters. And I know she is my 4th baby. I know I have babies that are growing in heaven. I know that she's my 4th baby. And I'll never take that for granted. But it didn't just happen overnight like we just got pregnant. No, we tried and we prayed. That sorrow turned into laughter. So in anything and everything